Hello there, and welcome back to my channel. This is the second part of my very first video, which it will resume the update of the GTEC A20 with the new toolhead and various other parts to prepare the machine to be upgraded to Clipper, which will be in the next couple of videos. The aim is to have an old and cheap printer, which probably it does have somewhere under a desk or in a cupboard, or even in a garage probably, and put it so that it can compete or stay up to the performance of a today printer. I would love to thank you for coming back and watching the video, and please subscribe and click on the bell button so that you can keep updated on my videos, and I can guarantee that there's not going to be any waste of time, especially because if you do tell me in the comments what your interests are, I can change or help on create videos suited for what you're looking for. This video, it will complete the second part, as I said, of the very first one, which it will be complete the toolhead and test all the various parts of the printer and do some kind of print test so that we can start to compare it with the original firmware, how far we can push this machine. There's been some modification done on the toolhead, which we'll see very shortly, due to the design that I had in the first place, but now it seems to be very interesting because we can push the printer down to what we want it to be. I hope you will enjoy the second part of this video, so let's get on with it. Once I put the tool head on the printer, I discovered that there are a couple of issues with the parts that I designed. One of them is the tool head, it doesn't reach the hand stop, so it does have a problem on coming up all the way down there. And the second one is that the cables on the back of this part, as it was originally designed, it does hit this bar here and it will stop the tool head to go any forward. Therefore, I printed out new parts which will bring some of the components on the side rather than the back, and this one should give us the possibility to correct the issue. Also, this part of the back plane, it will now reach all the way because we created an extra length. Let's go and put the bits together and see how it goes this time. Once disassemble the tool head, divide the two parts of the black plane. One small thing that I would like to point out and show closely, I don't know if you can see it properly, but on the bottom screw of the back plane, you can see that it is slightly offset. I hope you can actually see that the hole is not perfectly in the middle of it. The reason why is because with this screw, you can tighten the actual back plane on the printer itself, so that it runs faster and smoother. Put it back together with a new part just printed. Build the two parts of the backplane, one of them just printed. Build the board and the cable management and the extruder motor. I assembled those two pieces that it will be screwed together with two inserts. I did skip the actual part of where I'm fitting the insert on a smaller bit. I substitute the two original screws from the motor with two longer screws, so 2 millimeters longer, to firmly hold the two separator in place and make sure that the cable management and the board support will be nice and tight. Mount the backplane on the printer and attach the two ends of the belt. Tie things up, tension the belt, mount the hot end block on the back plane. And mount the extruder block on the back plane and the hot end block. Connect the cables. Gently tie them up with some cable ties. Even temporarily, you can always tie these up a bit later on. Here we are again. We finally completed the tool head. All the switching now, the hand stop works fine, and the movement is smooth. Doesn't touch the cables on the side like it was before. So success. The next step, it will be a firmware update, which will be on a computer. If you enjoyed the video so far, please click the subscribe button and the bell next to it so that you will be notified of any of the other video I will publish in the next week or so. We are now at that part of the project where we need to configure the board to work precisely with all the hardware that we changed and installed. Let's remind ourselves that the printer, it did have a dual tool head, so the first thing that we will need to do is remove the configuration and change quite a few bits here and there. Let's start to see what we actually need to do the firmware update on the board. The firmware update, it will happen through Arduino IDE, which it connects directly on the USB of the board itself, and you can also access the board by serial on the command line, which is a very handy thing to have. So the first thing is download Arduino, which is a free software. Donation if you need, if you feel like it, but you don't have to pay anything. And there is all the actual version for Windows, Linux, Mac OS, depending on what machine you're using to do this kind of work. The second piece of software you will need is the actual repository of Merlin. I'm using at the moment 1.1.8, which is not far away from 1.1.9, is just before the version 2. This is the actual repository for the Merlin software, and Merlin, it will be you can read this software, this configuration file directly in the Arduino IDE. This is in particular that we got on the screen is for the A10 GTEC, which is a slightly smaller model with a single tool head. But there are several different boards that you can load from the repository. If it's not this one, something else. My particular machine is being modded several times, so I don't really follow these steps. As we can see in the Merlin website, merlinfw.org, you will have all the board compatibility list, and you will be able to find the board that we're using as a GTEC GT. There we go, GTEC GT2560. The board that we're using is version 3, which is not too far away from the version 4. In fact, is exactly this one here. Here we are. The firmware has been loaded. As you can see, there are several files. As I was mentioning earlier, it loads every single file for any possibility, from the language pack to board to LCD display and more and more. But what we really need to look at, and nothing else, is the configuration.h, which is right at the beginning of the list of the files. I normally, for my commodity, I do mark when I do the mods, so I just added the date, today's dates. In that way I know when I changed something and what I changed, because I will mark the changes during the scripting as well. We can now scroll down to the first part of the change, which is the number of extruders. Actually, we can also change on the display the what appears as a name of the machine. This machine in particular is called Azzurra, and that is what prompts on the display. I will change that to Dragon B version 1. Also, a few lines down, you can see that there is define the extruders, that at the moment is in 2. We are downgrading to 1. We don't have to touch anything else so far. We're gonna scroll down, and we will scroll down until, let's see, that is the temperature, nothing here to be changed. I don't really like to change those unless I know exactly what the new ones are. We can afterwards go and have a look at the actual PID for the for our hot end, and we can changing afterwards. But for now, we will leave it as it is. I will not touch any of those unless you know exactly what the changer you're doing. There's the speed and accelerations, or the end stop, which is controlled for the Z by the probe. In fact, there is a fixed mounted probe. This machine did have a BL touch before this upgrade, and the actual probe that we got works exactly with the same parameters, so there is no necessity to change anything. I know for sure that those ones, they were not on original. As you can see, this is my comment on faults, so we put it back to false. This part is very important to double check the size of the bed. I know that my bed on this printer is 270 millimeters. Obviously gets the printing area is 250 times 250, and the position, it will be -15, and for Y -10. Again, this is a it can vary depending on if it's this printer, an A10 or another 3. Those values, they can slightly change depending of how the actual bed size looks like in millimeters. And similar enough, we got it on here. So this is the position of the probe. If we do get outside, like it was originally there, you can see that it was on 245. This will not stop the probe, and it will sink the actual hot end right into the bed, which would not be a nice experience. So I calculated 220, where is the maximum where the probe can be, and that should be the actual position of the probe on X, and the same for the Y. Those are the starting points, 0 and 20. All the bed leveling I probably would not touch unless you do require some changes from the default. If I remember correctly, the default is 3 by 3, so it's going to do 3 times on 3 different rows, or 3 rows and 3 columns, which is a 9 points check. And I think we are at the end of this. So what we can do now is save the configuration, as always, and we can verify the actual code. But before that, we need to go and select the board, and if you do have the printer connected, the COM port or the actual port, if you go on Mac, where it's connected to. So the board that you want to choose is, pardon, there's not this thing that I want to do, is the Arduino Omega 2560. That's because the Arduino Omega has got exactly the same chipset that the GT2560, or the other way around, I should say. And this is very lucky in a way, because we don't have to fiddle with anything at all for what is the board is concerned. The COM port, we can plug the printer in and find out. I know that it was connected on COM20, as you can see, but it's easy enough to power the actual board in, and you will require a USB cable, version 1 I believe it is the very first one once upon a time used for the printers. There are very many around, and now we should be able to see. There we go. The COM port is changed because I put in a different USB port. So we select COM1 and we select the board, which we said it was Arduino Omega 2560. And now it's all configured. What we can do is verify the configuration. At this point, it will verify that all the files and all the library, they are correct and in the right place. If there is a library missing, it will tell you which one, and you can from the sidebar add it to it. If you do have trouble on this part of the update, please leave a comment in the area underneath it. So the verification, it was okay. Now we can upload the configuration to the board. If I remember correctly, the header tree is different. It can be exported in an X file and copied over a SD card, and it will automatically load it on the machine itself. If you do have problem on any other machines, please let me know and I will give you direction on how to do it. But let's go and upload the firmware on the printer. There we go. We can see that it's flashing the firmware. It was, from what it says here, it was all nice and corrected and correctly written. So the flash is done. And now we can go back at the printer and the camera, and we can do the test of every single part first, and then we can run some calibrations for the hot end, for other small parts of the printer, and then finally we can run a test print. Okay, if you like what you saw so far, please subscribe button and the bell so that you will be notified when the next video is gonna come up, and the one after, and the one after. I do have an interesting plan or project to propose you, so subscribe please and press on the bell. Thank you very much. Enjoy printing.